having that lack of self-worth for some reason. And I don't even know what it is. It's probably things that were either inherited or that we just kind of made this assumption when we were young based on an experience that we had been through. And so to be able to help people through that and realize that they are worthy, they are here for a reason, for a purpose, and they can be the special, unique person that they are meant to be. Are you lacking in the self-care department? Or maybe you just want to step up your game? Well, then you need to get a hold of the weekly self-care planning guide, because this will help you to plan out and prioritize self-care, because self-care is not a luxury, it is a necessity. You can get yours by going to holisticmamaspeaks.com/self-care. That's holisticmamaspeaks.com/self-care. Oh, and did I mention the self-care planning guide is absolutely free? That's $0. So be sure to get yours at holisticmamaspeaks.com/self-care. Hello and welcome back to Holistic Mama Speaks, the podcast, Season 2. I am your host, Carrie Marie Vaughn, and I'm just so excited to continue our journey together towards holistic living, wellness, and abundance. Wow. In Season 2, we are just going to be diving deeper into a variety of different topics related to natural health, mindful living, wealth and abundance, and even conscious parenting. I'm just so excited. And I will be featuring expert guests who will share their knowledge and experience with us. So many amazing people, some returning guests from Season 1 and some new guests. I will also be answering listener questions and addressing some common concerns related to holistic living. And you can actually submit your questions by going to holisticmamaspeaks.com/ask. ASK. My goal is to provide you with practical tips and inspiration that you can incorporate into your own life. Whether you are a seasoned holistic living enthusiast like some people, or if you're just starting out on this journey, there is just something for everyone along the way. So I'm just happy to have you here in the Season 2 of Holistic Mama Speaks. And just as a side note, by listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this as medical advice or to treat a medical condition. You can visit holisticmamaspeaks.com to find the full disclaimer. So sit back, relax, and let's explore a world of holistic living and abundance together. Are you a mom who's struggling to balance taking care of loved ones while also taking care of yourself? It's a very common challenge, but there is actually a simple solution: daily affirmations. In Mom Mantras, the daily affirmation guide for mothers of all kinds, you'll find powerful affirmations and mantras that will help you improve your health, happiness, and mindset. Whether you are a biological mom, an adoptive mom, a stepmom, a pet mom, a motherly figure, this book is for you. Read these mantras in the morning, before bed, really anytime throughout the day to uplift your spirits and to stay focused on what matters most. Visit mommantras.com to get your own copy and to start living a more intentional, purposeful life. Hello, and welcome back to Holistic Mama Speaks. I am your host, Carrie Marie Vaughn, and I am so excited to talk about this amazing topic with you today, which is rediscovering you, embracing self-identity beyond parenthood. And I am joined by some amazing guests today. I have Candy Wilson, I have Chris Bargeron, I have Mary Crawford, and I have Michael Mulkey joining us again. I'm so happy to have you all here today. And I would love to go around the room and have you each introduce yourself a little bit more, let the folks know that are listening a little bit about what you're doing to help people, and then we will dive into the topic. So Candy, I will start with you and have you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello there. I'm a native Chicagoan, but now residing in Tampa, Florida, so that I can help my daughter and her husband take care of their two little toddlers. So I'm the proud grandma of a 4-year-old boy and a 2-year-old little girl. And I'm 72 years young and not on any prescribed medications. That's what I'm very, very proud of. Play tennis 3 times a week. I used to be one of those crazy young adults that would jump off any mountain. I love downhill skiing, so I've skied the U.S. Rockies, the Canadian Rockies, the Austrian Alps. Being from the Midwest, I've skied, of course, in Michigan and the Great Lakes area. But as I got older and more just stayed at home with the grandkids, I really just enjoy doing an in-home based business that helps people learn about, especially parents, learn about teaching their children about the importance of organic foods, non-GMO foods, enjoying wonderful, healthy meals, meal planning for the kids, and things like that.
That's awesome. Well, very, very cool. I love how active you are, and I love how you're helping families as well with their healthy lifestyle. So thank you so much for joining us, Candy.
Thank you.
And I will go ahead and pass the mic on to you, Chris, and allow you to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. My name's Chris Bargeron again. I'm a sound healer over at Creative Transformations over in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a company me and my wife started. She's a therapist, and I am a sound, like I said, I'm a sound healer. Just because in both of our lives, really as parents, it really kind of relates to the topic too. We've been really trying to sort of discover ourselves and working on ourselves. And in that process, utilizing creativity, especially from my side, I'm a musician for about 25 years. And I may get a chance to talk about sort of the why and what's of my therapy, but it had to do with being a stay-at-home dad for a while. And if you lean in, that'll bring some stuff out of you. So as I was working on myself, I discovered sound that I just was using as a modality towards myself. And after a while, and I started making friends with a couple of sound healers, I got pointed in the right direction for the education and certifications that I have. I just love it. It amazes me every day, just the difference that these frequencies can have on people, both mentally, physically, emotionally. So
very, very cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing. That sounds like amazing work, and how cool that you can do it together with your wife.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy to have you here today. And now, Mary, I'm going to pass it on over to you.
Okay, great. Mary Crawford. I've been doing this for about 20 years. I read people's bodies and tell them what their bodies want. And it's so fun to be able to bypass all the guesswork and just go right to your beautiful intuitive body and let it tell you, I don't want that food. I want more of this. I need a little bit more exercise, not that kind, this kind, We get really detailed information. I also teach dowsing. I'm a dowsing master, and I am an animal communicator. I do healing work with animals. And I have 2 grown sons, both of them just doing amazing work in the world, and no grandchildren. And I don't think there'll be any, and that's okay. I've got lots of nieces and nephews and big family there. So I love talking to moms and helping them make their life a little easier.
Oh, that's awesome. And making your life easier is definitely a need for many moms. I can attest to that. So thank you so much for joining us today, Mary. And I'm glad to hear about the work you're doing. And Michael, I'm going to pass it on over to you.
Thank you, Carrie Marie. Always good to be with you. I'm a big fan of Carrie Marie and her mission, and know some of you guys too. And it's good to be here with you. I kind of break it down to heal, evolve, ignite. I help parents, moms, kids, dads consciously and subconsciously reperceive themselves, their lives, their circumstances, even gets off into health. And I love this topic because we all grapple with this. Who am I at some point? Life challenges like this, but I've never seen it more prominent than in moms. And moms are so in tune and so affected by their children and their children's behavior and decisions. So I've got a lot of experience working with moms, and a lot of mine is from out of the home into kindergarten. It's a big jump. And then also when they get ready to go from out of the house to go to college or to go out into the world, it just seems to really, we have to go. It's an opportunity. It really is a beautiful opportunity to explore that and go deeper, like Chris was saying earlier. But anyway, I'm glad to be here, and I'm excited and looking forward to hearing what everybody's got to say about this.
Oh, and I'm so happy to have you back on the show today, Michael. You always have such amazing things to share, and I love how you're helping people. So Thank you all. This is a topic that I find, and like you were saying, Michael, is very, very much needed, especially among moms. Moms, when they become a mom, that's what they seem to identify with. And then all of a sudden that becomes their only identity. And they forget a bit about who they are, what they love to do, what their mission in life is, what their God-given purpose is here, because they are so caught up in being a mom that they forget about the other things. And so I'm so excited to talk to you all about this, because I know that we probably each have our own techniques that we like to help both ourselves and the people that we work with on finding your true identity and kind of tapping back into that again as human beings, individual and unique human beings, versus identifying only as a parent. So feel free to share some of the things that have helped you, but also have helped the people that you work with.
All right. Well, being a grandma, we get the chance to really love our grandkids, the toddlers, unconditionally. And the one thing that really, really stood out to me is you notice that the children, even from when they're little babies, they learn to say no more than they say yes. And so it's important that the parents have wonderful, strong self-worth so that they can teach their children to be positive and say, instead of no, let's say, okay, grandma, okay, yes more, instead of no and being negative throughout their lifetime. And so for the parents, especially moms who are at home, I was a very lonely mom. I was isolated in the city of Chicago, where we were in an old neighborhood, all old people. I was by myself most of the time. So I'm thankful. This is before the internet, of course. So I'm glad to have that now. So you can have develop relationships online like this. So thank you, Carrie Marie. But I think that for women that are at home wondering what they're going to do as their kids grow up and eventually they leave you empty nester, it's important to find something that they want and will desire for their future. And so what I've found is a stay-at-home business. And at-home business is what I did in my 20s. I have a 28-year nutrition background because I had the good graces of being able to teach other people and reach out to help them realize their worth with good, healthy eating and nutrition, so that I just feel it gave me my self-esteem, my self-worth, and it's really, really so important. It helps in every way, emotionally, mentally, cognitively, physically, financially. So that's what I'm so thankful I've been able to do.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And I'm sure that you're helping many, many lives through that work that you do. And I agree, self-worth is a huge thing. And, by having strong self-worth and by loving and caring for yourself, you're also setting an example for your children. So yeah, absolutely. And Chris, did you have something that you wanted to share on that? I saw you kind of raising your hand a little bit.
I was just jumping in a little silence there. Sometimes I'll just be like, oh, silence. I'm going to jump in, even though I'm only half an idea of what to say. But because it's a very interesting topic. And my answer is a little bit more sort of coming from a personal experience. Because again, I love how Michael worded it of, just how moms are just so significantly more affected just because of the biology. I mean, and I think there's a spiritual thing too there with connection with your children. But as a father who I was a stay-at-home dad for COVID, I stepped out of my job to help out. And I thought it would be easy. I had and it was a huge life lesson for me in so many ways. And at the time, it was the hardest thing we ever went through because all of my traumas that I had sort of buried under walls for decades started coming out. And old behavior I didn't even realize that I was mimicking from my childhood was occurring. And I was ashamed of the way I was acting in front of my kids, having these anger episodes. Fast forward, though, I went and got therapy. And like I said, I started seeking more holistic things because mind body work was what really made a difference for me. And some of the modalities that my wife practices, like guided drawing, which is great because so much of that stuff can be stored more in the body so to speak, than in the mind, at least for accessing. But the fast forward to discovering yourself, the big turning point for me though was meditation. And in making time for that self-care, it's so hard to do. And it's one of the things I talk to people all the time. It's like, I get it. It's me and my wife, our system is we trade. Like, we have to cover for each other to go meditate for 20 minutes. My clients, when they come, they get to have an hour of sound. Group sound baths are more like an immersive meditation experience. One-on-one, it kind of varies with what the client needs. But there is right, essentially though, the ability to have this meditation with these sounds that can really help you sort of open that door to spend that time to look within and discover yourself. And also understand too that things change and people change, that you can feel one way and then the next way feel another day. But the important thing, I think, is just to give yourself that space and give yourself that self-care. And it's so challenging, especially in this world. So that's the other thing that we say is like, we just like to question everything. I love when my clients talk about something. I go, well, why not? Why not? So with that, I'm complete. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of self-care, as you may or may not know, but I find that really that's kind of the core behind really healing and discovering and everything is you have to learn how to take care of yourself and carve out that time. And I love that you and your wife swap on and off so that you each get that time that you really need for your meditation and any other form of self-care that you want to do during that time. And that you are also now allowing your clients to have that time away from the hecticness of life to really just fully be with themselves and to heal. So that's incredible work that you're doing. So thank you for sharing.
I'd like to kind of piggyback on what Chris was saying too. And he kind of opened up a couple of things that will allow us to go a little deeper. And one of the things that when you're in the box, it's really hard to kind of see what's going on. One of the things, getting help, right? And there's this lady who's a lot smarter than I am, was trained in Western medicine and then kind of went over to the dark side into more alternative healings. And she says this thing, she says, you're going to heal yourself, but you're not going to do it alone. So asking for help is huge, right? But one of the things I wanted to talk a little bit about was think about the metamorphosis that happens when someone gets pregnant. If you have a friend or your spouse gets pregnant, and what happens to their body, to their glow, like everything changes. And we always say, that being a mom or being a parent is the hardest job, but there's no manual. But there is a manual. It's just not written down in words, and it's been written and it's downloaded, and actually you're carrying it with you in your genes and your energy, I guess, depending on what kind of language we want to use. But you're carrying this, and this as soon as you get pregnant, this book, this idea and this how-to about how to be a mom or a parent gets ignited as soon as you get pregnant, and it's all done at the subconscious level. A lot of spouses will go, I don't even really know my wife anymore, right? She was this person, right? Yeah, she's a mom, and she's completely different. And sometimes if you know the family, you go, she's acting a little bit like her mom. Now, all this is happening to us, right? We're not choosing this, right? And our parents may have done a great job and maybe not so much. They did the best they could do. But we got to be aware of this subconscious, this underconsciousness that we're not aware of. And this is where this work and some of the people on this can help, whether it be sound or massage. Just find something that resonates with you. But this is what can really kind of help you get to what I would call the cause of what's going on, as opposed to just always dealing with the symptoms.
Mm-hmm. And I do have a question for you on that, because I didn't even think about it as that deep of a level. But do you find that a spouse like the one that wasn't pregnant, or maybe an adoptive mom or dad, do you find that they also kind of all of a sudden have this different energy and become a different person, or is it not quite the same?
Yeah, I would not probably, I haven't studied that enough to speak as authority on it, but I would definitely say in some ways, being in an adoptive situation, you're making a choice Again, this other stuff's happening unconsciously. Now, it can also be a struggle, different struggle, right? Because you've chosen this, and you know, sometimes depending on how old the kids are when you make this choice, it can be hard, right? Because you're not bonded at that genetic, you know, you look like me, you act like me. You're basically a little me. I love you, right? That's not hard, but I always honor people who take on that challenge, you know. And if, you know, like they say, well, it just takes a village, it takes all of us, right, to help raise these little ones up, and they're going to be making decisions and affecting our world. So it's very important. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I think there's we could almost splice it off into another topic. Mm-hmm. But definitely, I think there's a lot there around parents who make that choice.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Got so much great information here. I want to, if I can, just go back to kind of the idea of who am I as a parent, especially after the kids are grown and leaving the house, whether they're just going off to college or even just off to preschool. You know, who am I? And this is something that has really come home for me recently as a 35-year marriage ended. And I was, for the first time in my life, the kids were gone, the husband was gone, no pets in the house. It was just me, first time ever. And it really is an awakening time for you to think, okay, well, who am I going to be? Am I actually going to survive? Am I going to be different? Am I going to be strong enough? Am I going to be, do I need help? And it's amazing when you suddenly have new choices, how you find that strength inside of you. You find just things, well, you know, I love what Chris said about meditation, you know, giving yourself time to actually allow yourself to explore what's inside of you, what's coming, just being open to new ideas. The work that I do, yes, I read bodies, but the biggest part of it is finding those emotional energies, whether they're inherited, you know, way past generational stuff gets stuck on our DNA, and we don't have to keep it. And it can even be disease information that we think, okay, well, mom and dad had diabetes, so I'm going to have diabetes, you know. That stuff we don't have to keep. So I help people find these things, that self-worth energy. There's so many of the women that come to me who have this energy of not good enough. Either they've become perfectionists so that their work never gets put out there because it's never good enough, or they don't even try. You know, so yeah, we got to get rid of that and really come into that God goddess energy that every one of us is, so that we can see our power and remember what we came to this planet to do, and that we are so supported. Even if we don't have physical humans in our life that are there with us, supporting us, we're supported by the earth, by our guides and angels, whatever you want to believe, the universe. We are so supported for just making the decision to be human and come here to the planet. We are all working to evolve the human race just by being here. And when people stop and think about that, it's like, oh, I don't have to do anything special. I just have to live. I just have to be here and experience life. And I'm doing something important by doing that. So getting that self-worth back and taking time to explore, so important. Getting rid of those stuck energies. That's what I love helping people do.
That's amazing. And you are so right about that self-worth piece, because I find that so many moms and, you know, women in general, but I'm sure men also deal with this, but having that lack of self-worth for some reason, and I don't even know what it is. It's probably things that were either inherited or that we just kind of made this assumption when we were young based on an experience that we had been through. And so to be able to help people through that and realize that they are worthy, they are here for a reason, for a purpose, and they can be the special, unique person that they are meant to be. And, you know, one of the things I'd love to share a little bit, if each of us can share a little bit about how, you know, how we work with people specifically to help them rediscover who they are as people. One of the things that I've loved doing myself on occasion, this is something that I like to do every once in a while, but it was something that was really helpful to me in discovering who I am outside of just being a parent of my 3 kids, who I love, love, love dearly. And I am also almost an empty nester. My daughter's going to her senior year, which is so crazy. That's my youngest. My other 2 have already flown the coop. But one of the things that was super helpful to me is just doing journal writing exercises and writing down everything that I can possibly think of about me as a human, not as a parent, but as a human, who I am, what I love, what I enjoy doing, the things that excite me, that bring me joy, that light me up. And then also having another list of things that I want to try. It could be foods, it could be experiences, whatever, things that I want to try, things that I want to see, things that I want to accomplish. And so there's kind of like two pieces to this exercise, where the first piece is writing down everything that you already love. And it might be things that you didn't think about for a long time. Maybe they were things that you absolutely loved to do when you were younger, before you became a parent. You kind of forgot about, you put on the back burner, and I know that you were mentioning, Chris, about how you are instrumental and you like to create music. And, so there's many people who probably had hobbies or things that they loved doing like that they used to do years ago. And then when they became a parent, it's like, oh, my kids come first. My family comes first. And they put those things on the back burner and don't do them anymore. And to be able to remember them just by doing this exercise, by writing down all of those things. And then of course, writing down all the things you do want to do and that you want to try brand new that you've never done. Maybe you want to learn a language, maybe you want to visit a specific place. Write that all down. Don't let your dreams die. Bring them to life. And then comes the next piece, which might be a little harder, especially because we've kind of crunched those things down for so long, scheduling in that time. Scheduling in time, little bits here and there. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm going to take, 5 weeks and go do all these things. No. You want to take it little bits at a time. And it can start with, like you were saying about the scheduling in 20 minutes every morning to do a meditation, some form of self-care. So maybe scheduling in a half hour each day to do something for you, or scheduling in a weekend where you can get away and do something fun, or whatever that may be, whatever that looks like to you, because everybody's exercise is going to come out with different results because everybody is so unique and different. But the cool thing is that it gets our brain flowing. It gets us excited again for life and excited about who we are and what our purpose is and what we want to accomplish. And it makes me so happy to do this exercise with people, to see their faces light up and to see them get excited again and all of a sudden want to start implementing this. And the coolest thing is that they're happier and healthier overall when they start doing the things that they love, start carving out the time for themselves, and they're setting such a great example for their kids. How many times do we tell our kids to go out and do what they want to do and to push them toward their dreams? Yet we've been putting ours on hold. That seems silly, right? So we want to start pursuing our dreams. Go ahead, Candy.
Yeah, when you mentioned the journaling, I remember when I was journaling and I would write down things that who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. And I showed it to a mentor and I said, well, I scratched off quite a bit because what are they going to think? And they said to me, it matters what you think about yourself. It's none of their business, none of your business what they think about yourself. I thought, wow, it's none of their business. It makes sense.
That is so true. Yeah, absolutely.
That Carrie Marie, you kind of opened that up around. There's like this saying, there's more's caught than taught. Children are watching you. They're your words. They're not listening to that anymore. I mean, are you really listening to your husband anymore? But the body language and everything that's happening in your message, right? Your message to your child you have to be fully aligned with it. So if it's a message of self-worth and high esteem, you can't just be putting lip service to that, right? Because then they'll learn a different lesson. But if you really believe it, you really see it, you see it in them, you see it in everybody, they will pick that up naturally. The other thing I think that's so important, we have this idea, especially in the West, but probably all over the world, that when we become a parent, it's time to teach. And if we really got, we'd have to take longer than this to get down to, what are you going to teach? Some survival skills? But do you really know joy more than a 5-year-old? Do you really? I mean, I've seen a 5-year-old make a day-long event out of a leaf. They have that down. We don't need to interfere, right? So this is the thing, right? But we think we need to teach. But if we observe and learn and let them be, with the big capital B, right? Let them be. It's a great time for us to grow and heal. Just the act of doing it, and being mindful and present about it, which is always hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That's such a great idea. Learn from the kids.
Yeah, the kids that are coming to the planet right now are so incredibly amazing. I mean, I've been watching this for decades, and they're just more in tune, they're more aware, and they don't put up with the shit that we put up with. They know what they want, and they're ready to fight for it. And it's just incredible. I did want to share a book that I found really helpful for me in defining what do I really want? Because so many parents, they get to this point and they're like, I have no idea what I want. My whole purpose was to be a parent, and now what? And so this book is called Law of Attraction, and it's by Michael Lozier, Losier. And he takes you through these exercises that are just like, you got to actually think, what do I want? Why do I want it? What's going to happen when I get it? And it's such an easy read and fun book to go through. So it looks like Chris has read this book. Yeah, I love this book.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good book.
That is so awesome. Thanks for sharing. It's always good to give them a book to read. Law of Attraction.
Yeah, and I was reacting to that too, because I was thinking of how to word exactly what you just said, Mary, about fitting a law of attraction, because it really is incorporated into a lot of stuff, especially in just things I like to sort of say to encourage people during sound work. One of the big things is to start off really just by helping people clear the mind and also recognize what the mind is, because there's so much going on up there. And I'm very guilty of this. I think that's me. And it's through meditation, though, that it's not about stopping your thinking. It's not about controlling your thinking, but being a witness to it. And when you're a witness to it, you start to differentiate and see, what is of it, and yeah, law of attraction is also phenomenal in really just like helping to visionize your dreams. And the universe reacts, but there's also got to be action. And the one other thing I want to speak to, again, with what Mary said in her previous share about the courage it takes. I just have to drop my wife, Rebecca, on this one, because it's just, she has been such a huge example of this, of the courage it takes, because there can be that pressure. There's always that pressure of being a good parent and not being a bad parent, and not being a selfish parent. And we have that, we could have that misconception that taking time for yourself and even doing things to please yourself could be seen as being selfish and a bad parent. But it's actually the opposite. Because because again, it's like your children mirror you. So when you are more of yourself, they're going to be more of themselves. And that's been part of the journey I've watched my wife go through, because she said, I want to have time with my kids. I don't want to work a lot. And at this time, she was running a rehab center. So she was working overtime. She was working nights. I saw the kids more than her. And then it was around that time, though, that we really started shifting our mindsets and our spiritual mindsets and our consciousness. And law of attraction was a big part of that. 4 agreements was a big part of that. But the encouragement I just want to give people by her too is that she started just following it and little steps each day, just making a little time for meditation, maybe reading a book about something that interests you. But the other big thing too is just to counter that negative self-talk that tells you like, oh, you're being selfish, but you're not. And again, your children are going to love it. And two, also one last name drop for her. She runs these awesome workshops. And one of the big ones she's having for women coming up is about the importance of play. It's a play workshop, and it's basically a workshop to encourage people to just play like a child and reconnect us with that and how it feels in your body and stuff, because it's important stuff to connect us with ourselves. Like even as adults, we need creative play.
I get to play with
sorry
my
to
three kids. I love it.
Oh, fun. Well, do you all have any last words, like any final little tidbit that you would like to leave as somebody who is trying to rediscover who they are? Just one last little line.
You deserve to be loved, and you got to start with loving yourself. So whatever that takes.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
I also know that there's a gentleman that founded a really good networking group, but he started by his philosophy of saying everyone on this planet deserves to be happy. So when you have that philosophy, you're going to be reaching out to others. And when you reach out to them, the more you give, the more you'll get back. And you'll get really wonderful self-worth from that, And then when it comes to my health business, we believe that we are all Generation H. So we're not Gen Z, the millennials and boomers. We're all Gen H, which is we all have to be healthy. So my last word I'd like to say is please keep the sugar away from the kids, and also keep the sugar down in your own mind or body, because that's when you start yelling if your blood sugar isn't regulated or you're not getting enough sleep, that kind of thing. The sugar is worse than cocaine. It's more addictive. It's more addictive than cocaine.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'd say, love yourself enough to ask for help. You can just do a quick inventory. Are you living your best life? Are you living fully, peacefully, joyfully? And these things, again, they don't feel like opportunities. This suffering that happens when we start to lose some of our identity, but when you get on the other side of it, like many of us have gone through some things, right? This is why we end up in this work and why we're here today. But when you get on the other side of it, you can start to see that it really is an opportunity. And I'd just say, take as much advantage of it as you can.
I'll make it quick with one word. Namaste. The good in me recognizes and honors the good in you. And that works both ways, so allow yourself to just recognize the good in you, treasure it.
And I just have to say thank you to all of you for joining us today. This has been such a pleasure. I think that this is such a wonderful topic to discuss, because we all want to be the best person that we can be. And we want to help others to really discover who that best person in them is. So thank you again for joining me. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day.
Thanks, Carrie Marie.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening. It has been a pleasure being with you today. I hope that you enjoyed this and got some value out of it. If you did, be sure to rate and review on wherever you're listening or watching. And also be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.